So when it comes to gaming on Linux, I've done a number of different videos on different tools individually, but this kind of gives you an overview of the basic ones to get your Windows games running on Linux. And kind of the biggest and first one and obvious one is Steam. Steam comes prepackaged with a lot of things that you need to get your games running on Linux. That's what runs on the Steam Deck, and they've packaged Proton with it, and there are a bunch of Linux native games in Steam. So it's pretty simple to work with. You just go into your settings, you go to compatibility, you can turn on like your default one, you turn on enable Steam Play for all titles, and you're good to go. You can then go into your individual games, you can go and select your properties, you do your compatibility, you check your compatibility thing, and you're good to go. What gets a little bit less obvious are some of the other tools that are out there. So early on, before Steam came to Linux, gamers had PlayOnLinux. And this was a tool that managed your Windows games or anything else really, and created wine prefixes for them so that they could actually run. So you've got different tweaks and things that would be applied to wine, or a specific wine version that worked with certain games that would be downloaded through PlayOnLinux. And it has been improved over time, I believe. And I haven't really used it that much recently. So the website looks pretty much the same as it did like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So if we go in here, I don't know when the last time they updated it was, but let's see. Yeah, I don't know. So if we go into the news, we can check their stuff. March of 2022. And it just really, there's not many updates since 2022 on PlayOnLinux. So it was kind of overshadowed by Lutris. Lutris came in and provided a way to create scripts to install and set up many different games, set up individual wine prefixes, apply different tweaks, automatically install libraries that were needed, and it supported native games. So if your game, you had a classic game that also had a Linux port, Lutris, you could write up a script for Lutris to manage that and set up your settings and everything with it. So if I go into configure, for example, here, I can set my game options, where my stuff is at, the runner options, to enable Voodoo or what have you. And Lutris still continues to be extended with different things like that. And it provides a runtime. You can manage your wine versions with it now, somewhere in here. If I go into setting preferences, was it? Yeah. So I can go and I can install different emulators, tools, and runners basically from here. And it supports implementing Steam, Amazon, EA, and so on. It does ship with its own wine. And it was another application that came out that made a lot of things easier. You could set up your GOG account in it, Humble Bundle, EA, and you could load up all your games in here. You can see my whole list of GOG games in here. Connect Steam to it, and you've got your whole list of Steam games if your Steam account is connected. Then that got overshadowed by another different runner, which was Heroic. And Heroic was for your Epic games. Lutris has support for Epic games. So if we go back to the preferences here, oh, not the runners. Yeah, we've got the different runners here, sources, accounts, sources. So we can set up Epic games and log it in here, the EA app right here, itch.io, and so on. Our runners here, we've got our wine management. We can manage the runners for that. We can download different versions of wine here. It provides its own for, and so on. Heroic kind of does the same deal. We can go to the wine manager, we can manage our wine GE, our Proton GE, we can manage the accounts that are in here, but it only has support for Epic, GOG, and Amazon. So you're kind of limited by the different stores that you can run in it, and that's pretty much it. It does have side-loading ability, so you could set it up. And if I go into one of the games here, I can set up a couple different tweaks, much like Lutris. But it doesn't really have the same scripting ability that Lutris has. There are some things where they may have prefixes already set up so that it'll automatically install certain tweaks, but you're basically sitting with running wine CFG and wine tricks through here. It does simplify it, makes it more attractive. It provides a controller interface, and that's cool and all, and I like it for that. And it's got different themes, but it's very simplistic, and I do use it for a lot of things. A lot of things just run out of the box really easily on wine for some dumb reason. And it has support for the native games as well, so you can pick, if I were to go to, not that one, which one has a native option? It's this one? Yeah. So I could select the platform that I want, Linux or Windows. I can select to install it, import it, whatever. And Lutris has support for the DLCs as well. It just goes through a little bit more complication for it. The next and final, well, not quite final one, is Bottles. Bottles, it manages wine prefixes basically, and has the ability to add in different launchers. So I've got Cyberpunk and like another game that I've been experimenting with that seems to run pretty well, and I've got to work out a couple other tweaks to make it work even better. But we can go into here and I can cancel. Oh, that runs an executable in it. So if I check the settings here, I can see the version of Soda that I'm running. I can run an executable in it. I can set launch options. If I go to my settings here, I've got a lot of different options for what I can run with it in some of them. So it is optimized for gaming or running other applications. I can set a runtime environment and things like that. I run our dependencies that are installed in here, install new dependencies, create a snapshot. So if I have a working state and something breaks, then I can restore to an old snapshot and not have to worry about it. Well, get it working again. And then, of course, your different applications there. So if I go into here, I can select an application, gaming, or a custom one. I could go between syswine and what have you. Let's see. Bottle directory, cancel. There should be other options here. So if I go into preferences, let's see. Steam Proton prefixes. Yeah, I could list those if I wanted to. Pre-release, force offline mode, runners. So I've got Soda, which is the basic one based on Proton. Then we've got the Cafe based on Wine Upstream. Vanalgia, Wine GE, Kronek. Let's see, Lutris, Proton GE. Let's see, different DLLs we can install. Course, come on. Some of these don't seem to want to work too good, but anyway. General, temp files, close bottles after starting a program, and things like that. So I can close that out, and you can see I can add shortcuts in. So if I go into here, I could add add to library, and when I go back, it's in here. Then I've got the option, if I want to, I think as well, to add to Steam. So for example, on, I believe my Steam Deck, I used Bottles to manage it for Cyberpunk, and I can add it to Steam right here without thinking too much about it. So it makes Bottles makes a lot of things easier, and you can set the compatibility for it a lot easier when managing it, and it has its different tweaks. Much like Lutris, kind of like Heroic, Lutris manages prefixes for each individual game. Bottles just lets you install multiple things into one prefix and create separate ones for different types of applications. So I could go in and create an application one as well for running whatever doesn't need the 3D stuff that's included with it. I thought of one more thing. So the other one that I thought of while I was looking at it, and it was there present in Steam, is Luxtorpeda. Luxtorpeda, basically you can use as a way to manage. It doesn't use Wine because it looks for native builds of games that are, or native ports of games that you can run on Linux. So you don't have to worry about the Wine prefix and having to fiddle with that. So if we go through here, it has only a few ports for things, but it makes games run really well. And so you've got Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and things like that in here. XCOM, Doom, of course, Quake, Hexen, Morrowind, and a couple others. And all this does is automatically detect what game you're running or trying to run, downloads the necessary source port, and then runs it in that port. It does have, where is it? I think support for Boxtron, or no, it's a sister of Boxtron. Oh, it has support for ScumVM and a couple others as well. So if you've got a ScumVM game, it'll detect that, and it'll run the native ScumVM over the other one. The one that's comparable to it is Boxtron. So rather than running the Windows version of DOSBox that comes packaged with many games, you can run the native DOSBox one, and it'll automatically fill in the configuration for your native DOSBox that's on the system, and then you don't have to deal with the Wine prefix again to avoid going through it with your classic games. And again, these last two apply to classic games that have proper source ports or that are DOS games that run in DOSBox and go from there. If we go back to Luxtorpeda here, let's see, yeah, Roberta runs at ScumVM and so on and so forth. So if I go back to here, let's try and pick on one, let's see. I don't have any of those installed, do I, for this one? See if I can find one that is Doom 2. No. I don't think I have many DOS games on here, do I? Quake 2, Quaver, Valheim, Broforce, Caesarea. This is very, very depressing. Chex Quest would have been one. I want one that is already installed. Okay, give me a second while I figure. Okay, so if I pick on Heretic for a second, I can go into here, go to Properties, go to Compatibility, force a specific one, not UMU. I want Boxtron Native, and I'm going to turn on the desktop sound so that it works. And then I can go play. And what it should do, I'll skip that, is it should run it in the native DOSBox. See? So I can run through here, I can quit game. Yes, I'm sure I want to quit. And then if I want to switch it over, I can go Compatibility, go to Luxtorpeda, and then I can click Play. Skip that. Luxtorpeda should come up eventually. Gives me an option of what one I want to run in, and I'm going to pick Crispy Doom. Supports cloud saving. And now go to high res. I need a wet nurse, sorry. Okay, yeah, it is set up with the right controls. So you can see it runs really well. I've got cloud save support in Steam if I need it. It tells you what has what. And this makes running other games as well a lot easier on the Steam Deck. So a lot of these tools will work on the Steam Deck as well. So that's the really cool part about it, is just making everything run really, really well. If you like the content that I produce, one good way of supporting it is to actually go and buy your own VM. I've got my referral link for Frantech down in the description, and it should be under there, like host your own stuff for what all in there and the links. But they've got a lot of different options that you can do. So if I go into order new services, you can see they've got really cheap options that'll run. If you need a small server, easy done, $2 a month and you're good to go. It should, or even $3.50 should be enough for Minecraft server. Get you up and running, get going, and it helps support me. So go check the link in the description for that referral link and help also support and keep up my other services and support the videos. If you liked the content, if you enjoyed it, if you think I deserve it, like, comment, subscribe, leave any criticisms you have or what have you. I appreciate it. Feed that algorithm, like I said, and I will see you guys in the next one.